What will the start of peace talks in Saudi Arabia brings us and take away from Russia, and how much did G20's electric shocker awaken Europe? We'll discuss right now this and other topics. My name is Irina Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Shettelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining.
Good evening, Irina.
Ukraine will not participate in the US-Russian negotiations in Saudi Arabia regarding ending the war. President Vladimir Zelensky states at the press conference. What are your expectations from this stage of negotiations? Can we say that Putin is winning so far and dictating his terms to Trump?
First of all, it is difficult to say what is this negotiation about, because some second or third parts, which are not only one part, only Russia is a part of the conflict, of the war, and US not part of this war. So we could negotiate with the same success Russia could negotiate with Nigeria or somebody else, and the result will be the same. And the State Secretary of United States, he explained what is this process in Saudi Arabia. He said this is not a peace process, this is not a peace negotiation, this is just preparing stage of peace negotiation. And the peace negotiation will include also Ukraine as a part and European Union as a part. And this is the official statement from today from State Secretary of United States. And obviously without Ukraine, at least, it's absolutely senseless. Some conversation between Mr. Lavrov, who is foreign minister of Russian Federation, with somebody from United States. By the way, we don't know exactly who will be the US representative on this meeting. And about who is winning on this negotiation, it is difficult to say, because till now, till this point, Ukraine declined any claims from both parts, also from Russian Federation and also from United States. So we could discuss, we could negotiate, we could sell or buy something, but we don't own the product. Like somebody from my viewers asked, so United States sold Ukraine to Russia? We can't sell Ukraine to Russia. We don't own Ukraine. But another viewer asked me, so Russia sold Ukraine to United States, and again the same situation. They don't own Ukraine. So at this stage, I can't say this guy wins this negotiation. I mean Putin or Trump, because we also don't know the positions of them. We know position of Russian Federation. Okay, we know what they want. And by the way, just today, the representative of Russia in United Nations, he again claimed what exactly Russia wants from Ukraine. Yeah, but we don't know what United States wants. They never declared any position, by the way, in this negotiation.
Can we say that these negotiations will legitimize Lavrov and other participants from Russian delegation?
Not at all, because Lavrov, he is the permanent guest of United Nations. He is under the sanctions in United States and European Union, but he is not under the sanction in Saudi Arabia. And anyway, we had him in G20 in Brazil instead of Mr. Putin, who is war crime and couldn't arrive to Brazil. He was in this meeting and he met Macron, for example, so not anything new. And obviously anybody who starts negotiation with Russian Federation starts meeting with war crimes like Lavrov, for example. So in any negotiation it will be the same. Also Ukraine in some stage could meet Mr. Lavrov. And by the way, it happened in Istanbul in 2022.
Yes, really. Okay, you're right here. The same, this person, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, told that there can be no talk of the possibility of territorial concessions to Ukraine in the settlement process. You want these Nazi habits, and the Ukrainian armed forces act even worse than Hitler's murderers, told Lavrov. Look at the atrocities they commit in the territories, and you want even some thought to be present in the settlement negotiations regarding the fact that some territories still need to be ceded. How do you see it with people, with Russians or without people? As we hear, Lavrov actually describes the action of the Russian occupiers in full. Does this statement by Lavrov right before the negotiations show that Russians do not need any peace, that their conditions are unchangeable based on the unchanging position of the Russians? How should be the US influence Russia so that they make concessions, and what kind of concessions might this be in nearest future?
Well, exactly. This is the question, what American should do for moving Russian Federation from the pre-negotiation position. Now what Mr. Lavrov said is the pre-negotiation position of Russian Federation, and we knew that. We knew that from all the lot of speeches of Putin, Peskov, Lavrov, and other members of Russian gang. And it was the same, like they want 6 Ukrainian regions as part of Russian Federation, and it's absolutely unacceptable by Ukraine. So, they move from their position, or there is no negotiation, and there is no sense in any continuation of negotiation. So yes, when he's going to this part 1 of some meeting with Americans, obviously he will not push back in his claim. So now this is the stage when Americans should do something with Lavrov and with Russian Federation. What is the tools? We know exactly the tools which America has, and this is only a couple of them. First is the sanctions, to put the new sanctions on Russian Federation, and especially on Russian oil and gas. And second tool is to support Ukraine with the weapon. To support Ukraine with some weapon which could hit inside the Russian Federation and inside big cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg, etc. And obviously in military objects inside these cities. So it also could move some Russian position to another place. But also we should understand that Mr. Lavrov is just a muppet. He is not a politician. There is a big difference between political structure of let's say modern Western nation and the old school Russian nation. In the old school Russian nation, the only politician is Mr. Putin, because only he could change his position, only he could have any position, any political position. So we are speaking with just Mr. Putin's muppet. So it doesn't matter what he thinks. It matters what he brings in the paper by which side by Mr. Putin.
Okay, really, Lavrov reminds us something like Goebbels, but there are other participations in these negotiations. Yuri Ushakov, Sergei Narishkin, Kirill Dmitriev. What we should understand about this person and their influence during this negotiation process?
No, it is, by the way, it is not, in my opinion, it is not a good comparison with Goebbels, because Goebbels from the beginning, from very beginning of establishing Nazis party, was the partner of Mr. Adolf Hitler, partner in the establishment of Nazi movement in Germany. Yeah, obviously Adolf Hitler was the main partner and Goebbels is the minority partner, but Lavrov is not a partner of Mr. Putin in just in any understanding. Mm-hmm. Lavrov didn't establish any political party in Russian Federation. Lavrov didn't stand by like near Putin in his political way, never. He just a manager who was hired because he somehow knows English language, somehow not like me, but worse, but somehow he knows to speak English. So this is his only role in this process. The same Ushakov. From all of this list, maybe only Mr. Narishkin, he is the really participants of the Mr. Putin gangs, yeah, but also not the high-level participant. So till now, Putin did not send to negotiate any serious figure, let's say. He is serious figure, Mr. Patrushev serious figure, but not Lavrov or some other Muppets. Narishkin is the highest level in this delegation. Oh, I don't know if he's obviously not in this delegation to Saudi Arabia, as far as I know, but at least somebody who is appointed to negotiate with Americans.
How are they dangerous to USA delegation, or they cannot change their position? For example, Narishkin as risky element.
Risky element? Mr. Narishkin is risky element?
No?
I didn't understand.
Yes or no? He has influence or he doesn't have?
Okay. If he had any influence on Mr. Putin. No, I believe in this case he's just the transmitter of the ideas, and his role is just to speak and to report what is, I don't know, not the thoughts about ideas, not the thoughts what we could change or what position we could stand, I mean, as Russians, yeah? But only to be, you know, that Mr. Narishkin, he is the chief of intelligence service. So this is more intelligent service operation than peace process negotiation. And intelligent process, it means who will be in American delegation, what we're speaking about, what coffee we drink and tea or something or whiskey. And this is the real information, not the political position. I don't believe in this stage in Saudi Arabia the parts will seriously discuss the political positions. Rather the process, like on which stage of process we could hope to see Mr. Putin personally and to discuss with Mr. Putin. Anybody in American delegation understands better than me than to discuss something with Muppets that is senseless. So the discussion is how to bring Mr. Putin out of his hole and to put him on near the table. This is at this stage. And with whom? Who will be ready to sit with Putin? Yeah, and Putin will Putin be ready to sit against President Zelensky, for example? Because till now we are hearing to difficult position from different sides of the war. President Putin says he will not he will not negotiate with Zelensky because he thinks that Zelensky is not a democratical leader enough, which is okay. This is very funny idea when we are hearing it from the dictator, from the old dictator of Russian Federation. And on the other side, we are hearing from President Zelensky very obvious position that he is ready from all the Russian citizens. He is ready to meet only President Putin. And this is 100% understandable, because Putin is president of Russia, not democratically elected president, let's say dictator of Russia, but effective ruler of Russian Federation. And Mr. Zelensky is democratical, but leader of Ukraine. So they are only there on the same level to discuss. And Mr. President Zelensky couldn't meet some Lavrov or somebody else. So this is, till now, this is the point, not the political positions. Who are you ready to meet?
Understand. And we know that these sick jokes about legitimacy of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky from Putin are as usual for us and are normal for the whole world, because whole world understand who is really a legitimacy and who is not, like Putin. But how do you see the further process? Meetings with Ukraine in these negotiations, then again meetings with Russia, or meetings between Ukraine, USA and Russian Federation and and maybe Europe, or without Europe at all?
No, at this stage it looks like Americans, they will meet the Americans. They behave like middlemen, not like a part of this negotiation and not a part of this war. So they're classical middlemen, and middleman speaks with one side and speaks with other side, and again with one side and again with other side, till the middleman is ready to sit them together on the same table and to be just the negotiator between them. So we are on this stage, and this is absolutely far away from, not from the agreement, but from the real meeting between Russian and Ukrainian politician, not only political leaders, but also political delegations at all.
So do you believe that we will see Putin and Zelensky on one negotiation table?
Okay, I don't believe, but this is only my personal, not personal belief, but personal not belief. This is just my humble opinion. This is not the fact. Obviously, a lot of other experts could say, okay, we are going to meet one another. I personally don't believe in that fact. I don't believe that President Putin, who is full of fear against Zelensky, who feels that he is losing to Mr. Zelensky in every field when they meet, in battlefield and negotiation field, he is not ready to negotiate against Mr. Zelensky, obviously. And it will be difficult to arrive to any peace deal without this meeting, on one hand. But on the other hand, let's see, for example, the only official agreement between Russia and Ukraine during the last 3 years, and it was the agreement about usage of Black Sea. And via Black Sea, Ukraine exports a lot of production of agricultural production from Ukrainian harbors like Odessa and Chernomorsk. And 2 years ago, it was concluded in Istanbul. There was a lot of meetings, but there were not meetings between Russian and Ukrainian. There were meetings between Russians and Turkish delegation with Erdogan, and on the other hand, Ukrainians and Turkish delegation with Erdogan. But there was no meeting between Russian and Ukrainian. And at the end of this process, Turkey signed the agreement with Russians, and Turkey signed the agreement with Ukrainians.
Separate, yes.
And it was like a grain agreement, or so-called grain agreement. And it worked during about 1 year, or a little bit less, 9 months, I believe. It somehow worked. So this idea was used, by the way, by Lavrov. He offered, let's sign anything like that about the war at all, yeah? But there's a difference. About the Black Sea, Turkey was not only the middleman, but also participant of this agreement. So Turkish Navy, military navy, was the very important factor of this deal. Because Turkish military navy could, for example, to follow Ukrainian ships with grains and to organize the security of this Ukrainian civil fleet. But in this case, we need some more almighty partner in this case, not like Turkey, but like United States or United Nations or European Union or everybody of them together to be the guarantor of this deal. So it could be, for example, in theory, agreement between Russia and US plus EU, and on the other hand, Ukraine plus US and EU. This is two different deals, and these deals together will bring to the end of war. It is very difficult to describe now the points of this deal, very difficult, because both parts, they are very, very far away from one from other. But it's a theoretical model, it could work.
We will not make any concessions or agreements without lasting peace and Russia's return to 2022 borders. RBK Ukraine describes our position with reference to the Ukrainian delegations. Is this unrealistic, right, as I understand? But maybe at the end of this path, maybe Putin can give us part of territories.
You know, in this statement by President Zelensky about the borders of 2022, it is compromise. It is compromise. And it means that Ukraine went to compromise against Russia. Because the starting position of Ukraine always was that we could negotiate only when Russia will withdraw all the troops from all the Ukrainian territory. Now, when Ukraine is ready to negotiate not the international borders of Ukraine, but the non-official line of 2022, it is compromise. So now the ball is on the side of Russia. What is their compromise? And we don't know, by the way, yeah?
Yes.
What is their compromise? And we heard as an answer from Mr. Lavrov that they are not ready to any compromise. So again, it is very difficult to find any soil to negotiation, any soil to peace deal. Then Ukraine goes to compromise and Russia is not.
Let's think in the next way. Maybe oil prices can be like a strong motivation to Russian Federation, because our Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskiy mentioned about this Trump's tool. He believes that Trump can influence, and together with Saudi Arabia can influence with these oil prices to Putin economy and to Putin's regime too. So Michael, what about oil prices as a tool to put pressure on Putin, given that the negotiations are taking place, as we know, in the Saudi Arabia?
Well, it is the most difficult trick to make that. You are not ruling oil prices ruling you. That is the fact now. No, there is no country in the world who could change oil prices how it wants. You do something and you don't know how it will influence oil prices. That is just because this is not fundamental price, this is just technical price. If you ever played on the stock exchange, you could understand what is the difference. So it is very difficult. And we remember when Mr. Trump said we will increase our production of oil. Until now, from the beginning of ruling of Mr. Trump, it is 1 month, about 1 month, we don't have any decrease in oil prices. We have a little bit increase as far as I remember. So this is very difficult and sounds fantastic. But what is not fantastic, it is the reason why we have chosen Saudi Arabia as a place of negotiation. This is connected to the oil, because America, US, and Saudi Arabia on the second place, and on the third place Russia. They are 3 countries with the biggest production of oil in the world. Together they product 40% of oil. And together, 3 countries, if we organize any, I don't know, any union, oil union, maybe they could rule anything about oil prices. So maybe this is the next step when Trump, and this is his strategy on this negotiation, he wants to offer to Mr. Putin the bigger deal, the deal which is bigger than Ukrainian war. And what could be for Russia the deal which is bigger than Ukrainian war? This is oil deal with Saudi Arabia and United States. Because in Ukrainian war, Russia could only lose money, lose lives, lose international recognition, lose everything, lose history, anything. And as an oil state, this is the only role of Russian Federation. This is not scientific state or culture or something. This is just oil state. Obviously, like some Iraq, for example, or Iran, or Nigeria, or Venezuela. And this is the offer of Mr. Trump. Let's stop the war in Ukraine and start our new deal, the deal in oil, and you will be rich. Yeah, you will be stupid, you will be disarmed, you will be losers, but you will be with huge money. This is the new offer to Russian Federation, obviously. And the King of Saudi Arabia, he is the best person in the world to negotiate about that. But this is just for the next step, for the meeting, for example, between Trump and Putin. In this meeting, and potential meeting between Trump and Putin, the King of Saudi Arabia will take a part in this meeting, yeah, in some of this meeting, and we will discuss obviously about the oil, not about democracy. Believe me, we couldn't discuss democracy or negotiate a free election with, with King of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is not the most democratic country. This is the country with they cut heads to the people, to crime people, and they are the world. We have a world record in this. Just last year, they cut 300 people, and this is difficult to negotiate about democracy with the King of Saudi Arabia.
Yes, we clearly understand that both USA and Trump's USA and Saudi Arabia is not about democracy, not about moral principles. It's about money, about great deals, and about such moments.
About to execute people, and just a couple of years ago in Saudi Arabia, where execution were public in Saudi Arabia. This is not somehow in the closed buildings of jail. No, it is on the very central place of the city. And in just 2 years ago, we executed 80 people simultaneously in one day publicly. So this is not so democratic country. Not about the human rights, obviously. So we will but this is a very business-oriented country, Saudi Arabia now.
Yes, yes.
This is now very open to the business. It was closed. Just 10 years ago, it was very closed country. Now it is very open to business. We have very developed, for example, football league with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Neymar, with almost all the best football players. And by the way, our boxer, Usyk, the world champion, he won his biggest matches in Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is the center of world sport, of world business. So you could do only business in Saudi Arabia, not to speak about democracy.
Yes, controversial place for negotiations, but we have what we have.
No, controversial place to negotiate democratic principles, yes. But to negotiate business deal, why not?
Yes.
So in this case, then not Keir Starmer, but Kit Kellogg, who said just a couple of weeks ago that Ukraine should organize the election during the war because this is a democracy and as a part of peace process. It is in this case, then they choose as a place for negotiation Saudi Arabia. What we are speaking about election? What is about election? Why?
Yes, but now we understand why this place. But why it's not Turkey? Because it had place in Turkey and it was not successful, or why? No.
Saudi Arabia is the country, first of all, which depends on United States absolutely from security point of view. It is secured by U.S. Army and U.S. military equipment, etc., and U.S. military supplies, on one hand. On the other hand, if you remember, during this war, there was a situation when Russian delegation with Putin arrived to Saudi Arabia, and they arrived with their fighter jets. So they could fly from Russian Federation with fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. And there are not a lot of countries in the world, on the globe, where you could arrive with fighter jets from Russia. There are not a lot of countries like that. And you can't arrive to Istanbul with fighter jets from Russian Federation because this is NATO country. And in NATO country, they will shoot down your fighter jets. So this is very secured place, not more or less secured place for Mr. Putin also as well, not like Turkey.
We don't know exactly if Putin is in the fridge. It's a joke, really. But Russians are already cooling their champagne. After all, Trump is playing into the Kremlin's hands, some analysts interviewed by CNN believe. It's really like Easter, Hanukkah, Christmas, Vladimir Putin's birthday, and everything happens on the same day. Until champagne is taken to the fridge and other bottles are opened, suggests Alexander Gabuyev, director of the Carnegie Russia Eurasian Center. Can we agree with him, or maybe agree in the middle on the way of this thinking?
I could agree that that Russians are celebrating. Yeah, absolutely. I just see that. We are celebrating on all the levels, not only in Putin's Kremlin, but also all the Russian business elite celebrating, and Russian stock exchange is growing. Yeah, because this is the first contact with West and history on their Russian history of last years, and they hope for removing sanctions. That is their greatest hope. They understand that their economy is dying. Their economy is dying. Their army is destroyed, and this is it was the last hope that Trump will save Putin and save Russia, and it looks like they have a chance now. It doesn't mean that they win really, but it means they have a chance to win now. They didn't have this chance before Mr. Trump started this process. Yes. But all the analytics there were right in this case. Yeah, for my sorrow.
Michael, thank you very much for today's conversation, for your opinion and for your time. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Michael Shetelman, political strategist. My name is Irina Uzlova. Thank you guys for joining us, for viewing. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. Please take care of yourself.